Welcome back to the Logic Speak podcast. And man, I'm so glad that you're joining us in season 2 on the Logic Speak podcast. We have a lot of fun things planned for the year. But as you know, as a listener of this show, and maybe you're actually new to the show, we care a lot about partnering with organizations that are doing impactful work, nonprofit organizations in our community, in our backyard, where we can serve alongside, we can support and help push the mission forward with some of the amazing organizations that are right here in our backyard, right in the North Fulton area. And so as we've talked about that in season 1, and we've kind of teased the idea of bringing some of our backyard onto the podcast, I am honored to have a guest in the studio today from outside our organization, joining us from Hemophilia of Georgia, Vic McCarty. Vic, welcome to the Logic Speak podcast.
Thank you, Adam. Thank you for having me. I am so excited that I'm here and I get to spend some time and visit with you guys in your backyard.
Yeah, well, hey, you have been a huge part of our backyard for a while, and we love partnering with your organization, from things like big mailers to showing up at events to bringing raffle items to fundraising events. And then just being there to support you and the things that you guys are doing to help families and children with bleeding disorders. It's truly amazing and remarkable. And so I'm glad that we get to hang out together. My hope for this podcast is that, and some of the questions that we've gone over, that it just helps to expose our audience a little bit about what you guys do. Chances are they may have come across someone in their lifetime that has a lifelong bleeding disorder. And awareness is incredibly important. Helping expand your brand is important. And so I'm excited to hopefully accomplish those things, educate our audience, and then just have fun hanging out with you, because you and I are friends and I enjoy hanging out with you.
All right. That sounds great. And again, thank you for having me. And so let's do this.
Let's do it. Okay. So let's start with, what is hemophilia? For the folks that are listening that have no idea.
Yep. So great question. Hemophilia is a rare bleeding disorder, which in layman's terms basically means that your blood does not clot properly. And so without getting too medical, because I'm not a doctor, but you're missing a protein in your blood that helps your blood clot normally, like you and I, right?
Yep.
You don't bleed to death. You don't die from hemophilia. You'll die from some complications from hemophilia. Head bleeds come to mind a lot, because people who have hemophilia, if they have a head bleed, that can be fatal and can be pretty,
Sure.
dangerous.
Sure.
But in a nutshell, hemophilia is typically it's a genetic link. So it's hereditary, and it oftentimes affects a lot more men and boys than it does women, just because of the genetic link and the hereditary way it works. And so, it's a rare bleeding disorder in a nutshell, where your blood doesn't clot properly.
And correct me if I'm wrong, because I was at one of your kind of lunch and learns where you were sharing with other leaders in the community more about the organization. But isn't it one of those that can only be treated but not cured?
That's correct. So people who have hemophilia have to lifelong treat, and typically the treatment it's a factor product. So what happens is, if you think about folks who have diabetes and have to inject insulin, it's sort of like that, and that's kind of how I describe it. But people have to mix a medication, and then they have to self-infuse that medication, and oftentimes it's called factor concentrate or factor product, into their bloodstream. That factor product then replaces that protein that I was talking about that you miss, and then helps your blood clot properly.
Got it. Okay. So now that we know what hemophilia is, Hemophilia of Georgia is an incredible organization that has multiple facets to it, supporting families, children, adults living with hemophilia. But can you give us kind of an overarching description of what HOG is?
Yeah, absolutely. We sort of think we're a big deal. And in some respects we are.
Yeah.
But so Hemophilia of Georgia was founded in 1973. So that puts us at about 53 if I do my math right. But so we are a statewide, so we're a couple things. We're a hemophilia treatment center, which means we help provide access to care and treatment for folks in the state of Georgia.
Yep.
And we help fund hemophilia treatment centers, and I'll call them HTCs. So we are a hemophilia treatment center. We have a pharmacy program that folks, again, when folks need to self-infuse with the medication factor concentrate product, they can actually purchase and use our pharmacy. Don't have to. We have folks who are not our clients that might use our pharmacy. And then last but not least,
Wow.
we are a 501c3 entity, which means that we are, in some respects, we have a foundation arm of our office, right? So the foundation provides fundraising activities. We provide some patient programming. We provide some scholarships to many of our patients. And then we are all across the state. So we're a 53-year organization. We serve about 2,000 patients.
Wow.
We are border to border, which means we have patients in Dalton, Valdosta, Columbus, Augusta, and all points between. And we serve people from birth till cradle. We often sometimes say birth to death or birth to cradle. Don't mean that kind of disrespectful or in an insensitive way, but we have patients sometimes that are with us from day 2 or 3 of their life until they're passing.
Wow.
And so we think that we're kind of a regional leader because we have the Hemophilia Treatment Center, and we help fund we have 5 Hemophilia Treatment Centers that we fund in Georgia and help provide that access to care and treatment and some research and a lot of things that are wrapped around hemophilia care. But we're also a regional core center. So we provide support services for 9 states. They're all mostly our border states. So they're the Carolinas, Florida, Alabama, Tennessee, Kentucky. So we help provide, there's 24 treatment centers in those states that we help manage and provide access to care and all that in that state. We do some world efforts. We help with twinning. We call it twinning, but basically we go in and we help foreign countries that basically want to have a Hemophilia of Georgia in Gambia, Africa. We go in and we help them to do that.
Wow.
So we oftentimes will say we're regional and a global leader, and people are like, really? I mean, anybody can say that, but we kind of talk the walk, and we have the knowledge and the expertise and the track history of who we are as an organization.
Yeah, it's remarkable. Would you share for our audience, just as they're getting to know you, Vic, what your role is and kind of some of the things that you oversee within the organization?
Yeah, so I'm the Chief Community Engagement Officer. Been at Hemophilia, I think about 16 years now, if I do my math right. But I actually started out, crazy story, but I started out in my career at Hemophilia of Georgia. I didn't know anything about hemophilia, didn't know anything about the bleeding disorders. I was actually an intern. And have kind of worked my way through the channels. And so now I'm Chief Community Engagement Officer, and I manage 3 kind of aspects of our office. I manage all of our community stakeholder engagement. So things like today, I'm in your backyard. I'm in many people's backyards on a daily basis. Really talking about who we are and promoting us and the awareness of us as an organization, right? So I manage the community engagement side of the house, which is also then the promotion awareness of who we are as an organization, but also our stakeholder engagement as it relates to fundraising. So just like any other 501c3 nonprofit, we do our fundraising like everybody else, right?
Yeah.
So I manage the team. We have a golf tournament, a 5K walk, and a gala. Those are our 3 signature events every year. And so the golf tournament is in March, our 5K is in April, and then our gala is in October. And so I manage the efforts and all the things that go into, if you've ever been to a black tire 5K, you know what that means.
Yep.
So I manage that team. Then I manage the team that's our patient programs that are more so from an educational standpoint. So we provide, again, statewide, border to border of all ages. And like this weekend, we're doing a teen retreat. So that's an educational resource for our teens, 13 to 17. We're taking, I think, close to 60 teens on a weekend retreat, leadership development.
Oh, awesome.
We might do some training around conflict resolution. And, hey, when you have a disagreement with this buddy, you don't have to hate each other. Let's just talk about what that means. And then everything we do from a patient education program, we always tie in bleeding disorder education. For some of our younger kids, we help them to understand, what does a joint bleed mean, and what does that look like, and what is, when I say you have to treat with factor, and what does that mean, and self-infusion. So it starts at all of the basics.
Wow.
And but every educational program every program that we offer our patients has an educational element.
That's awesome.
And then lastly, I supervise the team that manages all of our branding and marketing and brand integrity and our website and anything that our logo's on, or any collateral, brochures, annual report, all the things. I manage the team that puts our brand out there.
That's great. So you wear a lot of hats.
It's a lot.
You do a lot. When you guys do the camps and the retreats and you bring in that educational piece, you're bringing in doctors and medical professionals to provide that training and experience. That's amazing.
Yep. Hematologists, nurses. I mean, we've done several men's retreats throughout the years where we brought in folks to talk to our guys about recognizing joint bleeds and what that might mean. We've done some women's retreats where we've brought in sometimes our ladies who have a kid who has hemophilia. There's a lot of guilt around that because sometimes a woman is a carrier and doesn't realize it. So then all of a sudden you have a baby and they have an inherited blood clotting disorder that you didn't even know was in your family history, right? So there's a little bit of kind of guilt, and there's a little bit of depression sometimes with our ladies that are moms of hemophilia kids. So we target some mental health and mental wellness around our mamas and help them understand, listen, this is not your fault. You're going to be okay. Everything's going to be okay.
Yeah.
Let us help you work through this.
That's awesome. That's so good. You know, as we're talking about this, there's clearly a lot of, I think I mentioned at the beginning, just different facets of the organization and different focuses and different things that you do to support children versus adults and families and, you know, different types of retreats and education. And there's a pharmacy. And so there's all these different components. What's the overarching mission of HOG? What's the goal?
Yeah, our mission is that we help people in the state of Georgia live productive and satisfying lives. And that can be anything. That can be, we help people to understand their diagnosis. We help people understand how to treat. We help people understand that for somebody who has a very serious medical condition like hemophilia, you know, your insurance is a thing, right? So we help our teens understand, get a good job, get a good education, get a good college degree, get a good work for a good company that has a good insurance plan. It's all those things, right?
Yeah.
We work with parents sometimes who have a second grader that goes to a public school in wherever, Georgia, right? And a teacher might just literally freak out that they have a second grader in their classroom that has hemophilia. And so we provide a lot of education resources. We do some in-services. Any school can call us and say, hey, I need a hemophilia nurse to come because, you know, I've got a kid in my classroom and, you know, that I need some training on. I mean, just in the last couple of years, we still have PE teachers that if they have a hemophilia kid in their PE classroom might say, you can't do PE right now because you have hemophilia and I don't know what that means.
Wow.
And so we swoop in and we're like, wait a minute, like, let us help. We provide resources and training and help people understand, again, to that bottom line, helping people live normal and productive lives. And
like using the example of an elementary school, what percentage of kids in an average elementary school have hemophilia?
Oh, it's very rare. I mean, you know, again, we only have 2,000 patients in the state of Georgia, and I say only, not lightly, but it's a very rare medical condition. I think the latest data for the hemophilia diagnosis is in the United States is only like, it's less than 50,000. I think it's like 47,000 now. So it's a very rare, like you don't hear about hemophilia a lot.
You really don't. Yeah.
And when you hear about it, you're like, what is that? You know, so it is a rare medical condition.
Yeah. But and that explains why education is such a big component, because once you're affected by, or once you kind of enter this world, you only know what you know. Mm-hmm. And there's plenty, and I'm not trying to minimize the resources that are out there for other medical conditions and things that people live with, but it's one of those that you just don't know about unless you know about. Mm-hmm. You know, and so whereas if we just took, you know, different forms of cancer as an example, pretty much everybody that I know has been affected by cancer personally. Mm-hmm. And so it's great to have resources to educate families and communities that have someone that's going to be growing up, living their life, contributing to society, and hopefully living a long and productive life, even though they have to manage this disorder. Yeah, and that's where we come in. That's where we come in and, again, do anything in our power to help people live satisfying and productive lives, provide them the resources and education to get them where they need to be. I mean, I've got a great example. When you were talking, it just came to my mind. Yeah. But just last year, we had I think he was a sophomore in high school that got a knee injury from playing soccer. Now, this child came all the way up to sophomore in high school, 14 years old, got a soccer injury, and his knee went 4 times what it was supposed to be, swelling wise. Goodness. Yeah. Right? Yeah. Straight to the emergency
Went to
room.
the ER. They were like, we not something. We obviously something's going on, and so it took a little while. And end of the story, landing the plane is this kid has hemophilia, and
Just didn't know it.
Went through 14 years. So then come to find out, mom is a carrier. Didn't know she was a carrier. So
Wow.
that comes up some. It's very rare that happens, but just last year we were all just like, what?
Yeah.
And the family told the story. They were like, we threw the kid on the trampoline. We threw him in the pool. He had his bike wrecks and until he got 14 and had this serious soccer injury and his knee went 5 times what it was supposed to be. Then we were like, okay, something's going on. So sometimes we get kids very early and sometimes we get them at 14 and 15, and the care and the treatment and what we provide to families is going to be the same no matter when you come in the door, right?
Yep.
So we support that family. We help them with learning what this means now that your child is 14 and he has hemophilia. What does this mean for you? Which is very different from a 6-week-old kid, right? But that's just a great example of how we are there for people. We do everything that we can to help people, again, live that normal and productive life in their community.
One of the things we haven't touched on, and you and I have talked about this off camera, is the financial impact that a hemophilia diagnosis will have on a family.
Mm-hmm.
If you're diagnosed as a very young child, then it's something that an entire family unit is dealing with from a financial aspect. But then that person grows up and gets a job and gets on their own, and now they have this disorder to manage from a financial standpoint. Talk to me about some of the numbers. I mean, what's the average hemophilia patient looking at in terms of costs for everything that they're going to need?
Of course, hemophilia care and treatment is dependent upon product specific, right? So dependent upon what manufacturer, it's just going to be like any other drug. You're going to take this heart medication, some's going to be cheaper and some's going to be more expensive. Same thing with hemophilia care and drugs. Sometimes our folks have to treat every other day for the rest of their life, right? If they're severe hemophiliacs. And so a product can be, and it's our product is dosed by weight. So the heavier that you are means you need more product, right? More factor concentrate and more protein replacement for your blood to clot. So there's a lot of different factors in the way it's dispensed, but in a nutshell, what I can tell you is sometimes people might, a treatment once, a daily treatment 2 or 3 times a week may be as low as $1,000, $1,500 a treatment. It may be as high as $6,000 or $8,000, right? Again, depend upon the treatment. So when you think about, do the math, if you're $1,000 treatment 3 times a week, that's $3,000 a week. Well, times a month, and then you do the math, right? So it's
I'm sitting there going 52 weeks in a year. Holy smokes!
Yeah. So it's not uncommon for some of our families to have some pretty tremendous pharmacy bills and drug bills, and it's just part of the diagnosis and the treatment, and for us to counter that, just kind of, I'll give you a little bit of inside ball game, but so we have some programs that help to get some funding, and we help to get people to, because our folks can't do without the medicine, right? Again, They're not going to die from hemophilia, but you will have complications if you don't treat right and you don't treat like you're supposed to and timely and all those kind of things. So we have some programs that we help and provide some drug assistance for folks, some patient assistance for folks, because, the sad part about all this is, in my 16 years working with hemophilia community, we might have a family who might make a decision, I'm not going to pay my car note, and so my car's going to be taken away from me because I have to afford the medicine, right?
Yeah, that's tough.
And we have some families that are like, so I might have to do without some groceries or some things because I have to have this medicine, right? And I have to have the funds to pay for that. So that's the reality of it, and not to get too like just pulling at your heartstrings, but that is the reality of it. That is what happens.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, it's to have to arrive at a scenario where you're weighing those decisions. That's heavy.
Mm-hmm.
I'm sure this happened to you. Once I had a kid, like, my empathy meter skyrocketed because I just imagine it being my child.
Mm-hmm.
And then I imagine it being my family. And I imagine, pulling up to whatever Publix or Kroger or wherever, the pharmacy, coming to an HOG pharmacy and just going, all right, we're gonna pay for the pharmacy, and then we're just gonna have to do a lighter dinner,
right?
Type of thing,
right?
That's real. That's real reality, and that's where it makes it worth it. 200. If it was 200,000 patients, it would make this good work. If it was only 200 patients in the state of Georgia, it would make this amazing work. I'm glad that someone is standing in the gap for these 2,000 people, and really these 2,000 families.
Right. Because it affects the family. I mean, we're talking 2,000 patients, but it is a family dynamic. Again, it is helping folks. To your point, what if you had a child and they had hemophilia and you didn't know it? I mean, it is life-changing. There's a lot of, I mean, we have people who have a child who have hemophilia and make some decisions about family planning, right? And a woman may be a carrier and she's like, I don't want to have multiple children with hemophilia, right? And so that's kind of the reality of what we do and who we are as an organization.
Yeah. It really does have to extend to support of the family. And one of the things we talked about, and I'm looking at my notes here, was just who has the ability to receive support from HOG. And what I'm hearing from you is the entire family, the support system, even the support system as far as the educational piece, being able to equip and resource teachers and staff so that they know how to handle it. You guys are willing to get in there and really support on all those fronts.
We even support community providers. So an example of that is, maybe you have a child who's 6, 8, 10 years old, and now we start going to the dentist, and now we start getting wisdom teeth extractions, and now you add a hemophilia diagnosis to that child, and a dentist might have some reservations about some of that. So, if you're a family and you're having issues trying to get a dentist to see your kid or some of those kind of things, you call us and we go in and we say, okay, dentist, let us help you understand all the things, what you need to prepare for, what you need to think about. And again, all you got to do is call us. All you have to do is call us and say, hey, I need help with the resource in ABCD area. And we're like, okay, we got you.
It's amazing. So I want to make it practical for folks. Anytime we're going to bring somebody from outside our team, and especially focused on our backyard, and I want to talk about how people can get involved. Now, as a company, you can. I know this, so I can recite this. You can give financially always. So tax write-offs, event sponsorships. There's all kinds of ways financially that you can contribute. But there's also ways to just give back in time and resources. And so, like our company, I mean, since day one, I've been hearing about HOG because we've got a rock star volunteer hen who has been volunteering with HOG before it was even something that LogicSpeak did. That was something that she did, and now we do it as a company because of her. And one of the amazing things is it could be, we're putting a group together to come out to the office to, stuff envelopes and label things and put stamps on envelopes and help you guys get a mailer out. So let's just talk practically, big picture. How can people get involved with the mission, with supporting you, your team, the organization as a whole? Yeah,
that's a great question. So, because I represent the fundraising arm of our organization, of course, we are always looking for charitable gifts and charitable donations. From an individual's perspective, we have some events around town that there are ticket purchase places that you can come out and spend some time with us, get to know us as an organization. All of the things that we do, from any way you can support us, are all, first and foremost, they're all on our website. So I always tell people, go to our website, hog.org, and look at the events page, look at the resource page. There's all kinds of things. But from a high level, there are, of course, charitable gifts that we are always looking for. Specifically, we have March is our Bleeding Disorder Awareness Month. And so we're going to have a big campaign around supporting bleeding disorder awareness and taking donations to help us continue to move the needle, continues to help us to continue to provide all of those things I talked about. And March is a great, it's Bleeding Disorder Awareness Month. So that's a great time to go to our website and make a donation in honor of that month. World Hemophilia Day is in April 17th. And so we will run a campaign. You'll see us in the digital space around World Hemophilia Day and support our global efforts that HOG is involved with, and help support some global efforts with World Hemophilia Day. Outside of kind of the dollars and the charitable stuff, we always are looking for corporations to come in and participate in some of our events. But more so, and you've heard me say this, Adam, when I go and speak to people in groups, because I'm a fundraiser, I'm very, very cautious that I don't come into a room asking for money, because people expect that and they think that, okay, Vic's here to ask for money. And I am at some point, but we really, and I truly and genuinely believe this, and this is my approach. I want you to get to know who we are as an organization. I want you to understand what we do for people in the state of Georgia and across the region and across the globe. I want you to understand what it means for somebody impacted in the state of Georgia that lives with a bleeding disorder. And I want you to do all that first and really get to know us and form a partnership and a relationship, because we want to have a relationship and partnership with people. Yep. And then after that, then there's times when you can plug into some of our stuff and donate and sponsor some things outside of the dollars and the checkbooks and those kind of things. Like you said, we have volunteer opportunities. We have a great, amazing summer camp program that we're looking for camp counselors. Yeah. It is an entire week. It's a Sunday through Friday. So that's a big commitment for somebody to say, I got to volunteer all week. We're like, well, yeah, we sort of want you to, but we get it if you can't. And so if you can come Sunday through Tuesday and then you tag out and somebody else comes Wednesday through Friday, great. But we have about 100 kids that'll come to our summer camp this summer. And so it's usually a 3-to-1, 2-to-1 ratio. So out of 100 kids, we need about 40 Rockstar counselors. Yep. And then we could equip it with medical staff. So there's a great way. The camp is our biggest volunteer need. Yep. And then we have office days, like you talked about, helping us with mailing. You come in and you help stuff some envelopes and stamp stuff and get it out the door. We have event preps where people come in and help us prepare swag bags. Yeah. So there's the financial contribution side that you can support us. You can volunteer at our office or some of our patient programs. You can volunteer at some of our fundraising events. We, like any other nonprofit, are always looking for folks who serve on some fundraising committees and some program committees. We're always looking for board members. So we're in all of that space. I
love it.
Yep.
One thing I'm going to ask of our audience, every now and then I'll ask, hey, if you could subscribe to the YouTube or on Apple Podcasts or on Spotify, whatever you're watching or listening to this on, if you would just subscribe, because that helps the algorithm, and we want to make sure that we're getting the message out to as many folks as we can possibly have an impact with this podcast. But the one thing I will ask is, if you're watching this and you have the capacity to do so, it doesn't cost anything to simply post this episode and say, hey, I learned about this organization, and tag Hemophilia of Georgia and connect with Vic on LinkedIn and then tag him in the post. Just that awareness helps propel the mission forward. It's continuing to expand their reach and with the amazing things that they're doing in Georgia as a whole backyard to support these 2,000 plus families that are living with hemophilia. So Vic, as we land the plane here, I want to ask you what your goal, dream, hope is for the organization and for your involvement for as much longer as you're going to be within the, at least on the staff of HOG.
Yeah. So a couple of things come to my mind. I mean, I want to make sure that I continue to be in the community and to continue to be in your backyard and other folks like you's backyard to talk about who we are as an organization and promote the amazing work that we do. So I want to continue to be the cheerleader, to be the advocate, to carry the torch for hemophilia care again in Georgia and throughout the region and the globe, which is very important to me. It's very personal to me. I mean, I've been with the company for quite some time, and so my heart is in the right place, and I'm very passionate about the work that we do. That's the first thing. I think secondarily to what we do is I hope that someday that we'll all be without a job. I hope that there'll be a cure for hemophilia and people won't need us. And that's kind of weird to say, but that's the reality of it is we are advocating for research to one day cure hemophilia, and then we'll close down and we'll shut off the lights and we'll be done. And that's actually a great thing for me because, our work is done.
Yeah, that's a beautiful goal. It sounds bittersweet. It's something that the organization has almost existed a lifetime. And for there to be a day where there's a true cure and it doesn't require all the pharmacies and resources and all of that, that would be amazing. So I hope that we're both still around to see that happen and come to fruition. I think that's a great place to end today. Folks, there's multiple ways to connect. If you're watching this and you're like, I want to hear more, send me a message directly. I will connect you to Vic directly. Vic, what's your email address?
V.A. McCarty, so Victor Apple, MCCARTY at HOG.org.
You can go to HOG.org too to learn more. If this impacted you in any way, we'd love to hear about it. And then if you want to get involved right here in Georgia, there's tons of ways to do so. So let us know. But Vic, thank you for coming on the podcast. Thank you for being here during Bleeding Disorder Awareness Month, the month of March, and sharing this incredible mission and message that is Hemophilia of Georgia. We appreciate it.
Absolutely. Thank you for having me.
Folks, thanks again for tuning in. We'll be back with another episode, and we're going to continue to introduce you to our backyard because these folks are having a profound impact on people right here in the state of Georgia, right here in our backyard in the North Fulton area, and so we're grateful. Vic, you're the man. Appreciate you.
Thanks, man.
All right. Take care.
All right.